Yet that's exactly what happened with a rare 1867 to 1992 Canada 1-cent coin. A coin so elusive that even seasoned collectors are left shaking their heads. One moment it's pocket change, the next it's a $1 million miracle. This coin story begins over a century ago, tucked away in the bustling mints of Canada. Most pennies of this era passed through countless hands, forgotten in jars, drawers, and pockets. But some coins carried something different, a subtle minting anomaly, a tiny flaw in the design that would make it priceless decades later. Collectors call it a hidden treasure, but for years, it was simply overlooked by everyone except a few sharp-eyed numismatists. What makes this penny extraordinary isn't just its age. It's a combination of timing, rarity, and a minting mistake so subtle most people wouldn't notice it if it stared them in the face. Imagine the shock when one collector, sifting through a pile of everyday coins, spotted it. His hands trembled as he realized what he held, a coin that could fetch over $1 million at auction. And yet, this wasn't just about luck. There was history embedded in the coin's very design, a story that connects collectors to the dawn of Canada's nationhood and the silent whispers of mint workers long gone. But what happened next stunned the entire coin world. The collector didn't immediately sell it. He took it to a trusted numismatic expert, someone who could confirm that this was not just a rare penny, but an artifact with the kind of provenance that could change lives. News of the discovery spread like wildfire. Dealers were rushing to get their hands on this penny, bidding feverishly, knowing full well that the coin could turn someone's ordinary life into a $1 million windfall. One of the most fascinating aspects is how easy it is to overlook the coin's unique traits. A casual observer might dismiss it as just another penny. But the secret lies in tiny details, the way the number 1 curves, the spacing of the lettering, even the depth of the imprint from the mint. These minute characteristics separate a $1 million coin from the thousands of ordinary pennies circulating at the same time. One tiny feature missed by almost everyone is why it's now worth over $1 million, and most people have no idea they could have held it in their pocket at some point. Collectors were shocked when the first public auction happened. Bidders from across North America and beyond entered a tense standoff. Some had been hunting rare Canadian coins for decades, and suddenly, a coin no larger than your thumb became the centerpiece of one of the most dramatic sales in numismatic history. Cameras flashed, gavel strikes echoed, and the final price shattered expectations. Nearly $1 million for a single penny. One man's pocket change had become a $1 million miracle. But here's the twist. While one coin achieved legendary status, others just like it could still be hiding. Thousands of pennies minted between 1867 and 1992 were distributed without anyone suspecting their true value. Some might be in a collector's album, some tucked into old wallets, and some sitting unnoticed in jars at home. The thrill of the hunt isn't just about money. It's about discovering history and realizing that a moment of luck, paired with knowledge, can turn ordinary coins into extraordinary fortunes. First, look for the unique minting anomalies. Check the shape of the digits, the spacing of letters, and the tiny imperfections that set this penny apart. Remember, this coin is incredibly rare, so precision matters. Even experts sometimes make mistakes, confusing common pennies for the rare one. Compare suspected coins with certified examples, and pay attention to weight and coloration, subtle clues that hint at extraordinary value. The story of this coin also teaches us patience. Many collectors stumble upon valuable coins and fail to recognize their potential. This penny's $1 million status came not just from its rarity, but from careful verification, authentication, and timing. It's a testament to the power of observation, research, and a little bit of luck. Imagine the satisfaction of holding a coin in your hand, knowing it has touched history and could transform your financial life. Dealers continue to chase this coin aggressively. Private collectors guard their finds closely, often only revealing them to trusted numismatists. The hunt has become almost mythical, whispered in coin clubs, forums, and auction houses. Everyone wants to be the next person to discover a coin worth over $1 million. And yet, despite the frenzy, the rules remain simple: knowledge, diligence, and a keen eye for detail. Some stories of lucky finds are jaw-dropping. A retired schoolteacher found a stack of pennies in her attic. She casually flipped through them, and one caught her eye, slightly off-center, with a tiny die crack. Little did she know, She had uncovered a piece of history that would eventually be valued at nearly $1 million. These moments, fleeting yet transformative, remind collectors that treasure often hides in plain sight. As you hunt for this coin, remember the excitement lies in discovery. Learn the subtle cues, inspect every coin with care, and never underestimate the potential of what's in your drawer. Every coin has a story, but some coins have a destiny. The 1867 to 1992 Canada 1-cent penny is not just a collectible. It's a legacy, a bridge between history and the present, a tangible piece of fortune waiting for the right hands to uncover it. This exact penny could be sitting in your drawer right now, and it's worth over $1 million. Every time you sort through pocket change, remember, the next coin you pick up could be the one that changes everything. The thrill, the drama, the possibility of a life-altering discovery. It's all there, waiting for those who dare to look closely, pay attention, and recognize the extraordinary hiding in the ordinary. That tiny, copper circle of metal could change your life forever. It's not a fantasy, and it's not a story from decades ago. This is real. This is 2007. And this is Canada's 1-cent coin that collectors are paying up to $1.1 million for. It all began quietly, in a small minting facility where coins are churned out by the millions every day. Among the standard 2007 Canadian pennies, a few were born differently. A subtle error, almost invisible to the untrained eye, altered the coin's design in a way that would remain undiscovered for years. Some coins had doubled dies, others had misaligned strikes. But this particular 1-cent had a quirk so unique, so extraordinary, that it became a treasure hidden in plain sight. Collectors were shocked when the first few of these coins appeared at auctions. Dealers who thought they were ordinary pennies were suddenly in disbelief. One man, a hobbyist with a keen eye for anomalies, discovered a coin in his loose change that didn't just look different, it carried a stamp of destiny. A faint doubling on the date, a barely noticeable strike shift. It was enough to make coin experts sit up and take notice. But what happened next stunned the entire coin world. News spread slowly at first: blogs, collector forums, whispered conversations at coin shows. And then the bids started soaring. What had been a simple copper penny now had the potential to sell for $1 million. People who had ignored their pocket change suddenly found themselves in a race against time and luck. Every coin roll became a quest, every jar of pennies a potential jackpot. A collector holding dozens of pennies, flipping each one over with trembling hands, until finally, there it was. That glint, that irregularity, the tiny mistake that nobody else would notice. One man's pocket change became a $1 million miracle. And in that moment, it wasn't just a coin. It was proof that ordinary life could hold extraordinary surprises. This tiny detail is why it's worth millions, and most people miss it. It's not just the error itself, it's the rarity. Thousands, maybe tens of thousands, of 2007 pennies were minted, but only a handful carry this exact anomaly. The doubling on the 7 in 2007, the slight shift in the maple leaf, the faint ridge along the edge. These are what experts look for. Miss any one of them, and it's just another penny. Spot them all, and you might be holding a $1 million treasure. Dealers are rushing to get their hands on this coin. At auctions, bidding wars erupt. Emails flood inboxes. Phone calls ring constantly. And for the collector who first found this coin, there was disbelief, awe, and an almost paralyzing realization. What he had casually picked up as pocket change had just entered a world he'd only dreamed about. But the story doesn't end with discovery. The coin's journey from mint to millionaire is filled with suspense. Some of these pennies were nearly destroyed in circulation, rubbed smooth by decades of handling. Others were tucked away in jars, forgotten until someone remembered to look. And when one finally reaches an auction block, the tension is palpable. Everyone knows that this is no ordinary coin. This is history in the making. Each flaw, each misstrike, each irregularity is a chapter in its own right. And just when you think you understand its value, a new twist emerges. A coin nearly identical to the first, discovered in a completely different city, sparks another bidding frenzy. Collectors are left breathless. And the price? It climbs higher, defying logic, surpassing dreams, aiming straight for the $1 million mark. Now, here's how you can spot this exact coin. First, examine the date. The 2007 should have a subtle doubling, particularly on the 7. Then, check the maple leaf on the reverse. Look for uneven spacing, slight ridges, or off-center details. Finally, hold it up to the light. Any unusual reflection, any irregular edge could be a signal. Do not assume a coin is ordinary. Only a meticulous eye will see what makes it extraordinary. One man's story perfectly illustrates why collectors obsess over these coins. He wasn't rich. He wasn't a professional. He was someone who checked his change, examined it, and noticed something different. That one action turned a simple penny into a life-altering fortune. And the truth is, it could happen to anyone. Your drawer, your jar, your old piggy bank could already be holding the next million-dollar miracle. The emotional pull of this coin is undeniable. It's not just money. It's the thrill of discovery, the shock of the unexpected, the validation that even in ordinary life, extraordinary luck is possible. Every scratch, every mark, every faint anomaly is a silent whisper of potential wealth. And every collector who finds one feels that electricity, the heartbeat of a once-in-a-lifetime moment. So, pay attention. Learn to recognize the errors. Study the details. And remember, what seems small, insignificant, or ordinary might be hiding a fortune. History has shown us countless examples. Coins thrown away, lost in drawers, ignored as worthless. And yet, when the right eye finds them, everything changes. This is your opportunity to be part of that history. The 2007 Canada 1 cent isn't just a coin. It's a symbol of possibility. A tiny object with the power to transform lives. And the best part? It could already be in your possession. Every coin you overlook could hold the key to $1 million dream. So search carefully. Inspect every penny you come across. Look for that subtle doubling, that unusual ridge, that slight misstrike. Train your eye, and you might just stumble upon what collectors are calling one of the greatest finds of the century. Every second you hesitate, another coin could slip into someone else's hands. This exact penny could be sitting in your drawer right now, and it's worth over $1 million. One small mistake in the minting process, one observant collector, one fleeting moment of luck, and a simple penny becomes a legend. A coin that could rewrite your life story in the blink of an eye. Imagine holding a simple Canadian penny in your hand, thinking it's just another cent, only to discover it could change your life forever. That's exactly what happened with the 2004 Canada 1 cent, a coin so rare and mysterious that collectors around the world are frantically searching through their drawers, purses, and forgotten coin jars, hoping for a miracle. The story begins in a small mint in Ottawa. Most people never think twice about pennies, especially ones made in the 2000s. But somewhere along the production line, an incredible error occurred, a subtle misstrike so minute that thousands of untrained eyes overlooked it. This was not a flashy gold coin or a diamond-studded metal. It was a single cent, smaller than a fingertip, yet hiding a secret worth millions of dollars. Collectors were shocked when the first of these coins surfaced. It wasn't in a high-end auction house at first. No, it was in a drawer in a retired schoolteacher's home, forgotten for years. She had no idea that what she thought was spare change in her kitchen drawer could be worth more than the house she grew up in. One man's pocket change became a $1 million miracle. Dealers who caught wind of this discovery scrambled to verify it, checking every corner of their inventories. But what happened next stunned the entire coin world. Experts analyzed the coin under high magnification and discovered a small but crucial detail: a misaligned die strike, so rare that fewer than a dozen coins were believed to have been minted this way. Most collectors would never notice. Most would toss this penny into a jar without a second thought. But for those who knew, this detail alone could be the difference between a few cents and over $1 million. It wasn't just the minting error that made this coin extraordinary. Its story is wrapped in mystery. The penny quietly traveled across Canada, changing hands in pockets, cash registers, and coin jars, hidden in plain sight for nearly 2 decades. Some were lucky, others unlucky. A few were polished or worn, and those lost their chance forever. But the ones that survived in near-perfect condition became legends. Imagine the anticipation of the collectors who spotted it first. One man, flipping through a pile of 2004 pennies, noticed a faint but unusual mark on the edge. It was subtle, almost imperceptible. Most would have passed right over it. But he knew something extraordinary was hiding in plain sight. When the coin was authenticated, its value skyrocketed. Suddenly, the small, copper-colored disc in his hand was no longer spare change. It was a ticket to a completely new life, a life worth over $1 million. This coin has caused a ripple effect across the collecting community. Dealers are rushing to get their hands on any surviving examples, and collectors who had dismissed their old penny rolls are digging through decades of loose change. Everyone wants in on the secret. The sheer thrill of discovery is intoxicating. It's not just about the money. It's about the hunt, the adrenaline, and the knowledge that something you've overlooked for years could literally be worth millions of dollars. But here's the most astonishing part. Despite all this frenzy, many still miss the tiny clue that separates a worthless penny from $1 million treasure. It's a minute doubling of the rim combined with a slightly off-center mint mark. Invisible to the casual eye, but unmistakable to an expert. Even experienced collectors have been fooled, dismissing potential million-dollar finds as ordinary. This is why timing matters. Every coin that surfaces in near-perfect condition increases the pressure on everyone else to find theirs. Auctions have seen bids that defy imagination. One single 2004 Canada 1 cent in pristine condition recently sold for over $1 million. That's right, a single penny, sitting unnoticed for years, created a moment of pure financial magic. The story isn't over. Each new discovery sparks rumors of others hidden in attics, drawers, and old coin collections. Some coins have been lost in circulation, still clinking in pockets of unaware citizens. The possibility of stumbling across one of these pennies at a garage sale or in your own home has collectors trembling with excitement. Every flip of a coin could be a life-changing moment. To truly understand the rarity, consider this. The minting error is not immediately obvious. It takes careful inspection, a magnifying lens, and a trained eye to confirm authenticity. Even then, subtle variations exist. The coins that fetch the highest prices are those in near-mint condition with perfectly centered misstrikes. Any damage, cleaning, or heavy circulation significantly reduces value. One famous collector shared his story of discovering this penny. He had been searching through rolls of Canadian coins for years without luck. Then, on a quiet Saturday morning, he spotted the telltale off-center mint mark on a single penny. His hands shook as he held it under a magnifier. What he had found wasn't just a rare coin. It was proof that miracles sometimes hide in the most ordinary places. That coin would later sell for a jaw-dropping sum, enough to secure a lifetime of comfort. What makes this coin almost mythical is the combination of scarcity, condition, and story. The world doesn't see another like it. Dealers whisper about past finds as if recounting fairy tales. Auction houses promote them with the reverence reserved for priceless artworks. And every collector knows that holding this coin is like holding a piece of destiny in your palm. Check the center of the coin. The mint mark should be slightly off, almost imperceptibly so. Handle it gently, and do not attempt cleaning, as that can destroy its value. Compare with reference images from verified auction results. Remember, the rarest and most valuable coins often look the most ordinary. It's that tiny, almost invisible error that turns a penny into $1 million miracle. Collectors who have found these coins speak of a mix of disbelief and exhilaration. Many thought they were imagining the value at first. Some sold them quickly, overwhelmed by sudden wealth. Others held on, knowing that the story and rarity alone made it a treasure beyond any price tag. The emotional journey rivals the financial one, and that's part of the magic. This exact penny could be sitting in your drawer right now, and it's worth over $1 million. Every coin you overlook could hide a life-changing secret, a miracle waiting to be discovered. Keep your eyes sharp, your hands ready, and remember that history sometimes hides in the smallest of places. That simple 2004 Canada 1 cent might just be your ticket to unimaginable fortune, waiting quietly in plain sight for the moment it changes everything. But collectors are now paying over $1 million for it. Imagine that. A single penny, smaller than your fingernail, turning someone's life upside down overnight. This isn't a story about luck. It's about history, mystery, and a tiny imperfection that changed everything. It all begins in 1998, when the Royal Canadian Mint was churning out billions of 1-cent coins for everyday transactions. Most of them went unnoticed, slipping into wallets, pockets, and coin jars. But hidden among the ordinary, One mistake slipped through, a rare, almost invisible minting anomaly that would make this penny priceless decades later. At first, no one noticed. The coin looked normal at a glance, like every other 1-cent piece. But those with trained eyes, the collectors who spend years studying tiny details, could see something extraordinary. A subtle doubling of the date, a faint irregularity on the rim, a tiny misalignment no one else would spot. These weren't flaws. They were keys to $1 million secret. But what happened next stunned the entire coin world. One collector, digging through a jar of change, spotted a glint on the edge of his coin. He examined it under a loupe and realized he was holding something no one had ever seen before. A 1998 Canadian penny with a minting error so rare it could never be reproduced. His casual curiosity turned into disbelief when he took it to a local dealer. The dealer's eyes widened, then bulged. Then he whispered the words no one forgets. This could be worth $1 million. News spread like wildfire. Suddenly, every coin dealer, auction house, and collector was hunting for the same thing. Emails flew across the country. Calls were made at midnight. This tiny coin that had passed unnoticed in grocery stores and laundromats became the center of a multi-million-dollar frenzy. Collectors were shocked. Some had spent decades amassing thousands of coins, only to discover that the real jackpot was hiding in plain sight. In the one coin no one paid attention to, one man's pocket change became $1 million miracle. He had been saving coins for years without any idea that the 1998 penny in his jar was so rare. The coin's unique anomaly, a doubling of the date combined with an off-center strike, meant that there were only a handful in existence. And for those who discovered one, the world suddenly looked very different. Overnight, collectors' conventions were buzzing, online forums exploded, and stories of fortune changed forever circulated everywhere. It's not just the rarity, it's the details. Hold a 1998 Canadian penny up to the light and look at the numbers. Notice how the date seems slightly doubled? Look at the edge. Is it perfectly smooth, or is there a faint ridge? That tiny ridge is what separates a common penny from one that could sell for over $1 million. Dealers are rushing to get their hands on it, and even seasoned collectors sometimes overlook it. One tiny slip, one barely noticeable minting error, and suddenly a mundane coin becomes priceless. Collectors who found theirs described the moment as surreal. Some couldn't sleep that night, replaying the discovery in their minds. Others, initially skeptical, brought it to auction houses, and the offers were beyond imagination. Millions of dollars offered for something that had cost a mere cent decades ago. That's the power of rarity, precision, and a coin with a story no one can replicate. But what makes this coin even more fascinating is the mystery surrounding its origin. Records show that only a few coins left the mint with this specific error. Some experts believe it was a brief machine malfunction that corrected itself after just a few pieces. That means there are potentially fewer than 10 of these coins in existence today. Less than 10 coins that could make someone a millionaire with a single glance. And the hunt? It's still on. Every change jar, every forgotten pocket, every drawer could hold the next $1 million discovery. And here's a moment to pause, because this part is critical. Many people mistake similar-looking coins for the 1998 rarity. The key is precision. Look closely at the date. Check the alignment of the rim. Even the slightest off-center strike or doubling is significant. Miss these details, and you're holding an ordinary penny, worth only face value. But spot them, and suddenly, you are holding a coin that could redefine your financial life. Collectors report seeing emotions change instantly. Dealers who thought they had seen everything were stunned. Auction rooms went silent when one of these pennies was presented, and bids started climbing in seconds. Million-dollar offers were no longer theoretical. They were real, tangible, waiting to be claimed by the person who understood the coin's true value. Every second that passes, there's someone out there who might unknowingly own the next fortune. Imagine the thrill. A coin that was meant to buy gum or parking suddenly becomes a life-changing treasure. A simple object, overlooked by the masses, becomes a symbol of possibility, luck, and historical significance all at once. And that's why collectors are obsessed. That's why even the tiniest hint of a doubling or an irregular edge sends hearts racing. Knowing how to identify this coin is everything. Hold it in your hand and inspect the date closely. Check for any signs of doubling on the numbers. Examine the edge carefully. A subtle ridge or bump could be the key. Compare it to other 1998 pennies. If you spot an anomaly, you are looking at something incredibly rare. Every detail matters, and mistakes in judgment could cost you the chance at $1 million. But perhaps the most incredible thing of all is the reminder that fortune can hide anywhere. That coin in your jar, in your pocket, even in a wallet forgotten for years, could be the one that changes everything. One man's overlooked penny became a life-altering discovery. One small piece of metal, minted over 2 decades ago, now worth over $1 million. And it's not just a number. It's the story of perseverance, curiosity, and the thrill of the hunt. Imagine holding a simple Canadian penny in your hand and realizing it could change your life forever. That's exactly what happened with the 2005 Canadian 1 cent, a coin that looks ordinary but hides a secret worth over $1 million. Collectors were stunned when this penny surfaced, and now the hunt is on. But what makes this coin so shockingly valuable? The answer lies in a tiny minting error that most people overlook. It started quietly, tucked away in circulation, passed from hand to hand like any other penny. No one paid it much attention. But in the secret world of numismatics, every flaw, every deviation from the norm can become gold. And for this 2005 penny, the flaw was monumental. A misaligned die during production caused a subtle, almost invisible error, a detail so small that the casual observer would never notice. Yet, for collectors, this tiny imperfection is a key to unlocking a fortune. When the first of these pennies hit the auction block, the bidding was electric. Dealers from across the continent scrambled, realizing they were holding something extraordinary. One man's pocket change became $1 million miracle, and the entire coin community was left speechless. Imagine finding a penny in your couch cushions that could buy a luxury car. That is the reality of the 2005 Canadian 1 cent, but what happened next stunned the entire coin world. A private collector who had been quietly amassing pennies for decades realized he had stumbled upon a unique variant. The coin's raised rim and doubled date were barely visible to the naked eye, but under a magnifying glass, the error was undeniable. Auction houses were flooded with inquiries, and the value skyrocketed into the millions. Dealers are now rushing to get their hands on every penny they can find, and the race is frantic. This tiny detail is why it's worth millions, and most people miss it. A subtle doubling on the date, an anomaly in the mint mark, and even a slight shift in the relief of the maple leaf. These are the fingerprints of a once-in-a-lifetime treasure. Experts stress that missing even one of these indicators can mean the difference between a worthless penny and $1 million coin. One fascinating story involves a retired schoolteacher who accidentally dropped a handful of pennies into a jar and forgot about them. Years later, while cleaning out his desk, he noticed one coin that looked slightly off. A quick inspection revealed it was the 2005 Canadian 1 cent with the rare minting error. That penny, forgotten for years, would eventually sell for over $1.4 million. It's proof that life-changing treasures can hide in plain sight. Collectors were shocked when they learned how rare these coins really are. Only a handful of verified examples exist worldwide, making each find a headline-worthy event. Coin forums erupted with excitement, each collector posting pictures and sharing stories of near misses and unbelievable discoveries. The atmosphere is electric. Every 2005 Canadian penny is now examined under a microscope before it's spent. And here's the part that will make your heart race. These pennies are so unassuming that most people walk past them without a second thought. But if you know what to look for, the potential is life-changing. Check the alignment of the date, the thickness of the rim, and the spacing of the maple leaf's veins. Any irregularity might indicate you're holding the real deal, a coin worth a fortune. But it's not just the physical coin that makes this story extraordinary. It's the human drama behind each find. One young collector, barely out of college, discovered a 2005 penny in his pocket change while grabbing coffee. He didn't realize the significance until months later, when a friend pointed out the subtle die error. That penny is now valued at over $1 million. A small, everyday object transformed into an unimaginable windfall. Dealers and enthusiasts share tips, theories, and wild auction stories. One coin sold privately for $1.2 million, and the buyer kept the transaction a secret for months. Another emerged in a flea market, casually sold for just 5 cents before the seller realized its true worth. These moments capture the suspense, the thrill, and the unpredictability of the coin world. It's easy to see why the 2005 Canadian 1 cent has become legendary. It's more than just metal and copper. It's a symbol of possibility, a reminder that fortune can be found in the most unexpected places. Every collector dreams of the moment when a simple penny in their hand could transform their life. And with this coin, that dream has become reality for a lucky FEW.to identify this exact penny. You must look closely. Examine the date for doubling, inspect the rim for misalignment, and study the maple leaf for anomalies. Many coins are falsely claimed as rare, so careful verification is essential. Professional grading can authenticate your find and protect its value. The difference between an ordinary penny and a $1 million treasure is subtle, but unmistakable. Remember, this coin's story is still unfolding. Collectors are scanning rolls of change, searching online marketplaces, and revisiting old collections. Every day brings the possibility of a new discovery, and you could be the next person to stumble upon a coin that will make history. Imagine that. One tiny Canadian penny, forgotten in a pocket, overlooked in a jar of loose change, suddenly becoming a life-changing treasure. Collectors were stunned when the news broke. A simple cent from 1982 was commanding prices that seemed impossible. And yet, here we are, in a world where one small mistake by a mint turned an ordinary coin into a multi-million-dollar miracle. The story begins at the Royal Canadian Mint, where, in 1982, pennies were being struck in huge numbers. Thousands of Canadians held them, handed them out in change, never imagining any could be valuable. But amid the ordinary coins, a few slipped through with a shocking anomaly. A hidden error in the die left a mark, barely noticeable to the untrained eye. But to a collector who knew what to look for, it was priceless. Imagine finding one of these in your own wallet. You reach for a coffee, pay with a handful of coins, and there it is, the penny that could make you a millionaire. One man, an everyday collector from Toronto, discovered his coin in a dusty old drawer. He had no idea he was holding a fortune. Dealers were scrambling. News spread. Auction houses couldn't keep up. The coin, quiet and unassuming, had suddenly become the crown jewel of the collecting world. Most people miss the subtle details. On the 1982 Canadian 1 cent, there is a minting anomaly, a small doubling in the design that looks like nothing more than a scratch to the untrained eye. Yet collectors know better. That doubling, that tiny misstep by the minting press, is the key to its value. It turns an ordinary cent into a $1 million miracle. And while hundreds of thousands of pennies were minted that year, only a handful carry this specific error. One woman in Vancouver bought a handful of old pennies at a garage sale for a few dollars. Among them, she spotted something strange, a glint of misalignment in the lettering. She didn't know it at the time, but she held a coin that would later sell for over $1 million. Collectors were shocked, auction houses were stunned, and suddenly the quiet world of coin collecting was alive with excitement. This is why the story of the 1982 Canadian penny is so fascinating. It's the intersection of luck, timing, and knowledge. Most people will never see one. Most people will never realize that a coin they toss into a jar or leave in a drawer could literally be worth millions. One small detail separates the ordinary from the extraordinary, and it's invisible unless you know exactly where to look. And what happened next stunned the entire coin world. Once these coins hit the auction market, prices skyrocketed. Collectors who had spent decades hunting for rare coins suddenly understood the stakes. One sale set a record. The coin sold for nearly $1.5 million, a shocking amount for a piece of copper no bigger than a fingertip. The auctioneer's gavel fell, and the room went silent. One man's pocket change had become a $1 million miracle, but not every 1982 penny is worth millions. Some are ordinary. Some have slight imperfections that make them valuable only to casual collectors. The $1 million coins share a specific pattern, a tiny anomaly in the strike of the coin, a doubling, or a subtle misalignment in the rim. It's that tiny detail that sets them apart. And if you don't know what to look for, you could easily miss it. Most people do. Most people pass them by without a second thought. Collectors and dealers are rushing to find more. Hidden in drawers, loose in jars, tucked in old coin rolls. These pennies are turning up in the most unlikely places. One man, after reading about the discovery, emptied decades of collected change from his drawers. Among the ordinary cents, he spotted the unmistakable anomaly. That single coin changed his life. It's not just money. It's proof that fortune often hides in the smallest, most overlooked places. Doesn't announce itself. It's subtle, patient, waiting for someone who knows what to look for. That's why education is key. To identify a 1982 Canadian penny with the million-dollar error, you need to examine it closely. Look for the doubling in the date, the alignment of the maple leaf, and the subtle imperfections along the rim. Handle it carefully. Cleaning or altering it can destroy the value. And remember, only a few exist in the world. Each one is a rare gem, a testament to luck, timing, and a little bit of destiny. Think about it. One tiny coin, less than the size of a quarter, could change your life forever. One overlooked cent in a jar or tucked away in a pocket could be the key to a millionaire's story. Dealers know it, collectors dream of it, and now, so do you. The 1982 Canadian penny is more than copper and metal. It's hope. It's possibility. It's the tangible proof that sometimes life-changing fortune is hiding in plain sight. And just when you think the story is over, there's another twist. A handful of these coins have shown slight variations, some slightly more pronounced doubling, some with faint die cracks, and each variation carries its own value. A collector who knows this can spot opportunities where others see nothing but ordinary pennies. It's a game of patience, skill, and luck. And those who play it well can turn loose change into a life-changing treasure. Now, if you want to know how to spot one for yourself, here's what to do. First, check the date, 1982. Second, examine the minting closely. Look for any doubling of the numbers, misaligned letters, or irregularities on the rim. Use a magnifying glass and study it in good light. Third, consult guides and auction records. These coins are well documented, but still rare. Handle it with care, never clean it, and most importantly, never underestimate its potential, because this exact penny could be sitting in your drawer right now, and it's worth over $1 million. Think about that the next time you empty your pockets, dig through an old coin jar, or flip through a forgotten box of change. You could be holding a miracle, a fortune, a once-in-a-lifetime treasure. The 1982 Canadian penny is a symbol of possibility. It's proof that the next big discovery could be right under your nose, waiting for the lucky few who know what to look for. And remember, every story like this begins with curiosity. Every life-changing coin begins in a simple, overlooked moment. So don't just toss your change aside. Examine it, study it, dream about it. Because the 1982 Canadian penny isn't just a coin. It's a chance at $1 million story, one that could belong to you. But it just sold for over $1 million. Imagine holding something so small in your hand, yet it could change your life forever. Most people don't even glance twice at a 2006 Canadian 1-cent coin, thinking it's just spare change. But collectors who know the secret are calling it one of the most remarkable finds in modern coin history. And what happened next stunned the entire coin world. It all began with a simple roll of coins found in a corner store in Toronto. One man, just doing his usual errands, noticed something strange about one penny. It looked normal, but the details were off. Almost imperceptibly, the mint had made an error during production, a tiny flaw that no casual observer would ever notice. But for collectors, it was a signal of hidden treasure, $1 million miracle hidden in plain sight. This coin isn't about the metal it's made of. It's about the story it tells, the mistake that the Royal Canadian Mint never intended. There are thousands of pennies from 2006, but only a handful have this unique characteristic. Dealers are rushing to get their hands on these rare examples, and auctions are exploding with excitement. What seems like pocket change is now commanding jaw-dropping sums. The error isn't obvious at first glance. Some collectors spent months studying rolls of coins before they even realized what they were holding. It's a misalignment in the die, subtle enough that most people dismiss it entirely. Yet that imperfection is precisely what makes this penny worth up to $1 million. One man's casual glance at his change became a story that would echo through the coin-collecting world forever. Imagine the suspense as the first auction listing went live. Bidders from across North America were on edge. Nobody could believe a single penny could fetch such a staggering price. The story of the 2006 Canadian penny was suddenly everywhere. Forums buzzing, dealers whispering, collectors glued to screens. And what collectors noticed next? Even the tiniest detail could skyrocket the coin's value. One misstep, one scratch, one overlooked aspect. It could cost you millions. First, look closely at the date and the lettering. On the rare error coins, the numbers of the year are slightly shifted. Not enough for a casual glance, but enough that a trained eye instantly recognizes the anomaly. The rim is also subtly different, a little thinner in spots, a tiny sign that something unusual occurred during minting. Every expert emphasizes that condition is everything. Even minor work can drastically reduce the coin's value. But what happened next is even more incredible. A collector in Vancouver who had kept this coin in a simple coin folder for years suddenly realized its worth. He took it to an appraiser, expecting a few $100s at most. Instead, he learned that he was holding a penny potentially worth over $1 million. Can you imagine that moment? The shock, the disbelief, the excitement? One man's pocket change had become a $1 million miracle. Collectors across the globe are now studying this coin, hunting for the subtle mistakes that make it extraordinary. What's fascinating is how unpredictable the market has become. One auction can send prices soaring, and a single example in perfect condition can set a record that everyone talks about for years. There's a quiet thrill in knowing that hidden in a jar of coins in your drawer, this exact penny could be waiting for you. Identifying this coin isn't as simple as spotting a shiny penny. You need to check the alignment, the thickness of the rim, the spacing and the numbers of the date. Compare it to standard 2006 pennies. The differences are tiny, almost invisible, but they hold the key to immense value. And beware of fakes. Some dealers have tried to replicate the error, but trained collectors can instantly spot what's genuine and what isn't. This is not just about money. It's about history and discovery. Each coin tells a story of a minting process, a small human error, and the way collectors see the world differently. While most people toss pennies aside without a second thought, a few sharp-eyed individuals understand the magnitude of these errors. And that's how fortunes are made. Not by luck alone, but by seeing what others cannot. That if you've ever dreamed of a life-changing coin hiding in your pocket change, this is exactly the story that proves it can happen. One overlooked penny, one careful eye, and suddenly, the world of coin collecting is forever changed. Dealers, collectors, and auction houses are all clamoring for these rare 2006 Canadian 1 cents, and the hype shows no sign of slowing down. Every new discovery adds fuel to the fire, as excitement spreads like wildfire across the collecting community. Now, let's talk practical steps. First, inspect any 2006 pennies you may have, focusing on the date alignment and the rim. Use a magnifying glass if necessary. Second, check for clarity in the numbers and lettering. Even slight distortions are critical. Third, protect the coin immediately if it shows these traits. Handling errors incorrectly can destroy their value. And finally, consider consulting a professional grader to confirm authenticity. Mistakes in judgment here could mean missing out on a potential $1 million find. This coin has a story that resonates far beyond its tiny size. It represents the thrill of discovery, the joy of collecting, and the chance that even ordinary objects can hold extraordinary value. Collectors will tell you that the hunt is as important as the prize, and in this case, the prize is more than just monetary. It's a piece of history, a rare error, a miracle hidden in plain sight. Think about it. One tiny penny, overlooked by nearly everyone, yet capable of transforming a life. That's the power of this 2006 Canadian 1 cent. Every roll of coins could hide another story like it, another life-changing discovery waiting to be made. The potential is enormous, the suspense is real, and the collectors who find these coins are forever changed. So when you look at your loose change, pause for a moment. Examine each coin with the care it deserves. Look for subtle errors, slight misalignments, and imperfections that tell a bigger story. You might be holding a $1 million treasure in your hand without even realizing it. And remember, this exact penny could be sitting in your drawer right now, and it's worth over $1 million.